Hello. In this video, we will look at how Rafay can be integrated with Okta to perform single sign-on to Kubernetes clusters with both users and group information coming from Okta. Rafay supports an integration with all identity providers to provide a single sign-on experience for users in an organization. Both user information and group information can be received from an identity provider like Okta. Let's first start with how to set up the single sign-on configuration with Okta. So I'm logged into my Rafay org called Rafay Demos, and you go into your identity provider tab. In this case, I have already set up the identity provider configuration with my Okta tenant, and it's attached to this domain called openc2.io. And in 3 simple clicks, you can have an integration with Okta. Next, let's look at a particular example scenario that we will simulate and experience. So in this particular case, in Okta, there's a user called QA at openc2.io. This user belongs to an Okta group called QA Infra Admin. Now, what we have done here is we have created an identical group in Rafay called QA Infra Admin. So the mapping is 1-to-1. And this group in Rafay would then be mapped to my appropriate project. In this case, I'm mapping it to a project called QA. And that particular group is also attached to a role. In this case, I want to attach it to the infra admin role in Rafay. What this configuration allows a user to achieve, an admin to achieve, is when the user QA ops at openc2.io, when the person logs in, that person will have seamless single sign-on access to clusters in the QA project, in the Rafay org, with an infra admin role. So this mapping will be seamless and transparent to the user. And as you add more users into the same QA infra admin role group, they will experience the exact same thing. Now let's go look at how to set up this thing in Okta. So I'm logged into my Okta tenant as an administrator, and I have a bunch of groups, and I'm going to look at the group called QA Infra Admin. And as you can see here, I've pre-created this group, and this particular group, it's meant for infra admins for the QA project. And I have this one user attached to it, QA ops at openc2.io. I can add other users as I need to. And this group has access to the Rafay systems application that was configured in the IDB config. Now, let's pivot to what the configuration, the equivalent configuration in Rafay needs to look like. So, now we have set up the identity provider. We have already set that up, and the group attribute called Rafay in this case, it could be anything for that matter. This carries the group information as part of the SAML assertion from Okta into the Rafay org. Now, let's go first look at the groups in Rafay side, and then we're going to first look for the QA infra admin group. So as you can see here, I created this mirror group called QA infra admin, and it mirrors what I have in my Okta tenant, the same name. But what I have to do is now we have to go configure and specify which projects in Rafay this group users in this group belong to. So in this case, I specified that this group can access the QA project, And then I've gone ahead and assigned an infrastructure admin role, which kind of controls the authorization or the role-based access control of what users that belong to this group can do and cannot do. With that, now let's look at what the end user experience for this would look like. Okay, so we're gonna start with an IDP initiated flow. So I'm gonna log in as a user here. So I'm a user who's going to log in as QA ops at openctl.io. I'm going to log in into my Okta tenant. And once I'm in, as you can see here, I have a bunch of apps. One of the apps is Rafay Systems. And I click on the chiclet called Rafay. And I'm swooshed into my org. And if you notice here, my profile, it says I have access to the QA project and I belong to the group QA infra admin and I have the role infra admin. What that means is this user has access to the cluster only in the QA project, and I, as a user, can now go perform kubectl operations against my remote cluster. I can go list namespaces. I can look at my pods, and the interesting thing here is all this is audit logged. So let's look at what the audit log would look like. So we go in here, and if you notice that QA ops at openctl.io, who is a single sign-on user, this person performed this kubectl operation. And if I go look at all the users that came in, and I look at the IDP users, and I look for QA ops, which is a user that who just logged in. Notice this person just logged in a minute ago. That was just me logging in, and all the information about my access is available here. Thank you.